Good morning. I'd like to welcome you all to the fourth wave webinar on clean air for hotels. And without further ado, I'd like to pass you over to Naeem.
Great, thanks, Amir. Good morning. My name is Naeem Walji, and I'm a principal at Fourth Wave Technology, and we're bringing VIRUSKILLER to the UK market. VIRUSKILLER is the world's most efficient and certified clean air tech on the market today. We've had several successful installations with numerous high-profile spaces across the UK, from the largest care home group, where we have over 300 plus homes installed, to nursery, primary, secondary schools, high street retail, GP surgeries, opticians, corporate offices, and of course hotels, which is what brings us all here today. We're excited to have Richard Greenwood, the founder of Radicate, Gail Balfe, an infection prevention and control specialist, Nawab, the CEO of LHG, and Paul Brown, the MD at Beacon Purchasing. Our moderator today is Amir Bailey, who runs our marketing at Fourth Wave. We all know hotels in particular have faced numerous challenges over the last several months, and we're confident with the right tech in place, we can help alleviate some of those pain points and provide a robust solution to tackle indoor air quality. So I'll hand it over to you, Richard, and you can get us started on VIRUSKILLER.
Wonderful, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Richard Greenwood, founder of Radicate, and now innovator of VIRUSKILLER technology, along with our team in South Korea. I'm going to share my screen with you. And let's go on to a bit of a PowerPoint that we've prepared. So we're going to talk about the VIRUSKILLER technology, which offers real-time protection for guests and staff against airborne viruses, pathogens, allergens, and other indoor air pollutants. So you probably already know indoor air can be 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. Indoor air pollutants have numerous health effects, but today we're going to focus particularly on the current situation and talk about the VIRUSKILLER technology in response to this situation. Very interesting article yesterday in Nature showing that coronavirus predominantly transmitted through the air. If we think about the start of this pandemic, we were told this virus wasn't airborne. It then went to large droplets, it then went to smaller droplets, and now we're understanding that the main route of transmission is via the air. So very important to bring in good ventilation and the right clean air technologies into not just infection prevention and control, but into our hygiene practices. So clean air in hotels. Yes, try and prevent cross-contamination, putting hygiene, health and safety first, bringing in the fact of the importance of fresh air also, and reassurance. So reassuring people that we're going above and beyond to keep them safe during their visits. I think this is a great image and something that I'm very passionate about. We share clean air. So if we look at the current situation, obviously to have air cleaned by VIRUSKILLER is great for potential customers. It's great for the staff to know that this technology is in there. It's a safer working environment. And the fact of saying we share clean air will go much longer term than this pandemic. So we're learning a lot about health and safety, about keeping ourselves healthy, as well as trying to prevent cross-contamination. And the air is something that we haven't really thought that much about in the past. So the good thing, one of the good things to come out of this situation is that it will improve our health and our hygiene practices longer term as well as right now. So indoor air pollutants. We've got dirty air, particulates, dust, pollen, dander, and you can filter those out, very commonly done. Toxic air, VOCs, gases, smokes, fumes really need to be neutralized. Can catch some with things like activated carbon, but technology to neutralize. And then sick air, viruses, bacteria, mold, fungi, and we want to decontaminate that air. So lots and lots of studies coming out and have come out. Pathogenic droplets remaining in the air 3 to 16 hours. That's a long time. So having a technology installed, a clean air technology installed that is giving room changes of that air is extremely important, especially in spaces like the hospitality sector. Capture, decontaminate, and replace. So a little bit about the virus killer technology, and we'll go first on to the history of it. I joined forces as Radicate with a company in South Korea called IMBR quite a few years ago. What's really interesting about our partners in South Korea is that the virus killer technology was originally founded and developed and funded by the South Korean government in response to the 2003 SARS coronavirus pandemic. So this is a technology that was actually designed to fight coronavirus, developed in collaboration with the Korean Aerospace University. One of the things, and really, really important things that we're also learning, is that airflow within buildings is extremely important. And we'll get into that a little bit. So over the last 16 years, the virus killer technology has been installed in hundreds of thousands of spaces. In South Korea, and South Korea are obviously doing very well during this pandemic. In South Korea, it's installed in most hospitals, schools, universities, government buildings. It's the dominant clean air technology over there. And it's great to see this technology spreading around the world now. So a bit about the technology. As I mentioned, the first thing that should be looked at with any clean air technology is airflow control. So what do we do with the air? It's no good buying a great big air purifier, sticking it in the corner of the room and not thinking about where the air's going. So in this situation, a simple diagram to show, if we put one of our tower units into a room and it's a shared or a communal room, then ideally you want to drag the air down to the ground. Air below kind of knee high is classed as contaminated air. And you want to distribute that air above seated head height. So you're creating this flow that you're taking any potential pathogen out of the breathing zone, taking it to the ground, pushing it into a unit, processing that air, and delivering clean air above head height. So I can't stress enough that airflow is a top importance in clean air technologies. Here we show a small diagram, typical hotel room, with one of our smaller units, single room units. We've also thought about airflow in this unit, and you'll see an image of that unit later on, whereby we have an airflow attachment at the top, and it can put you in your own clean air bubble. The larger units for more communal spaces, as I mentioned, they're pulling the air to the ground, delivering clean air above head height. Places like gyms, perfect for clean air technologies. We'll go into the technology studies just now, but we last year ran some tests in Canada, and they showed that not only does our technology greatly reduce cross-contamination in the air, but it also greatly reduced surface contamination because it's not allowing settlement. So for places like gyms to stop that surface contamination as well is a vital aspect. And obviously the more communal spaces there, you need the technology in. It's very important where that technology is situated, You want it as centrally located as possible. So you're bringing that air from everybody, again, in this instance, down to the ground and delivering clean air above seated head height. So the first part of the virus killer technology is purification. And this is done with filters. This is a pretty standard thing for any air purifier. Filters catch larger particles and small particles as well. Carbon filters can trap most VOCs, and important with the combination of the virus killer technology, if you think about what a filter's doing, so if you think about a HEPA filter, you're trapping microbial contamination, you're trapping dust and moisture. So you've got this soup really of microbial growth being able to take place on a filter. With the virus killer technology, you get UV radiation on that filter, which stops that microbial growth. And it's a really important part of the aspect of clean air technologies, because you don't want the clean air technology to become a source of contamination. Then decontamination. So in the virus killer technologies, the air will go through the intake through a series of purification, i.e. filters, up through the reactor chamber, which is the real technology aspect of virus killer. And then the output. The output's really important, as I mentioned, controlling airflow. It's a vital part of clean air technologies. The reactor chamber is a process called photocatalytic oxidation. High power UVC light reacts with titanium dioxide surfaces and creates something called hydroxyl radicals. Hydroxyl radicals are the most powerful oxidant, but have a very short lifespan. So all that reaction happens in a sealed chamber. I won't go on too much about the evidence. The best thing to do if you're interested in seeing any test reports on this is to jump onto the Radicate website, where you'll be able to see the certified technology for virus deactivation, bacterial, mold and fungi removal, and also importantly, going past COVID, as I mentioned before, neutralization of things like VOCs and toxic gases, trapping of particulate matter and ultrafine particles. The whole thing needs to be, if you're going to buy some clean air technology, well, you want it to do as much as it possibly can, as well as dealing with viruses, which is of utmost importance at this coming time. A couple of images there showing the tower units. You get a scale of the size of the tower units there, delivering that clean air above seated head height. And here's the smaller unit, Hextio units, perfect for places like hotel rooms. As I mentioned earlier, we've thought about the way the air is moving, and you can position that unit angled towards yourself, very much like a ventilation system within a car, so that that clean air that's gone through the unit is blowing over you, keeping you safe. Short and sweet, that's all from me. Happy to take any questions on Radicate or the technology.
That's marvelous, Richard. Thank you very much. Over to you, Gail, if you would like to say a few words in response.
Yes, good morning. My name is Gail Balfe. I'm in infection prevention and control currently with Cavendish Health. I have worked in the health service for 35 years. And really, I suppose for me, I'm looking, now I'm going to tell you about what it was like before and how things seem to have escalated over this last year to the concerns regarding sort of better ventilating systems that we're talking about today. Before, I mean, when I was in a hospital, probably the only bit of knowledge I ever knew about ventilation systems was in the theatres with the HEPA filtration systems that you've been talking about. We would be having those monitored, cleaned out every year on a service contract. We'd put out the agar Petri dishes into the theatre to test the viral bacteria that is around in a theatre setting. And then this year, or this over the last year or so, people keep asking me, oh yes, but what about the ventilation, and what about the government report on this, that and the other? So I've had to become a bit more of a specialist in the field of researching exactly what it is that we need to think about more than in a hospital setting. I've worked within the NHS and sort of prepared them over the preparation safety regarding COVID safety in hospital environments. We have ward areas where you'd have to, on the COVID ward area, you would have to shut off an area and move patients from one area to another, while fogging or fumigation would be undergone for that area before you could move the patients back. Within 48 hours, we'd have them move back again. So that is how the hospital have been managing the safety of reducing the viral load within a hospital setting, because if you have a ward with a number of patients that do have infections and you want to keep the viral load low within the environment that you're in, it's about moving everybody out, fumigating the whole place, and then moving everybody in again. So that obviously is quite a dramatic process in itself. Within the industry that I'm in at the moment, which is I'm working within advisory capacity on film productions and things, they likewise have looked at the ventilation systems to keep everything circulating, so that the viral load doesn't increase if we do get any cases of COVID in those environments. For me, the reason I was quite happy to come and talk today was because there's been a lot of conversations about hotels and the services that are provided, you know, and keeping the hotels safe. It is a topic at the moment that is in the forefront for within the film industry. We've got people flying over from different countries who will need to come and isolate, maybe into hotel environments. But for the future, we need to look at the safety of all the areas that we are in, really, where there's multiple occupancies. I mean, the government, the SAGE committee, which is the scientific advisory group for emergencies, has put this on one of their main agendas to focus on how they're going to keep those multiple occupancy areas safe for all. So yes, so I'm here to sort of tell you that the challenges that we've had through hospital setting that I was working in last year, and in other settings that I've been working in through the beginning of this year, and just say it is definitely something that is a top priority to be thinking about now. If you're if you have a company where you have large capacity amount of people in whatever venue it is, then you need to be looking at the safety of clean air around you by a safe ventilation system. Any questions? I'm quite happy to carry on and take. Okay. I can't hear you there, Amir, sorry.
That's marvellous. Thank you so much, Gail. Sorry, I was muted then. Over to you now, Maher.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thanks for taking your time to joining this. So we're a family-owned business. We have approximately 6 branded hotels, 4 with Best Western, 2 with Accor. We've been in the hospitality industry in excess of 20 years. And more recently, since the COVID crisis started, we got together with a group of other specialists in this sector, and we set up a non-for-profit organization called Process C19. And for the past 12 months, we've been exploring avenues on how we can assist with this virus, whether it's assisting the NHS, assisting different parts of the government bodies. And one project we came across was with King's College Hospital, where they said they have a number of COVID positive clients who they need to discharge from their hospital facilities as soon as possible. So we explored which hotel we should be using, what technologies we should be installing, and we decided to work with Naeem and his company because we found the technology they offered was one of the best. It was very cost effective as well, and it was a plug and play operation where we could literally go to them, get the things installed, and we're up and running. Our concern was obviously our staff safety and our guests' safety as well, that we don't want any of our staff to be exposed to anything unnecessarily, and the same for our guests. So we installed the technology very, very quickly, and we had a project up and running within a matter of days with King's College. And as soon as that started, we were then approached by different other local authorities to house vulnerable clients in that facility for COVID positive clients. We obviously worked with Cavendish Health, with the virologist, to discuss what protocols we need to put in place, what systems we need to put in place, all sorts of risk assessments and method statements. And obviously now we're at a stage where we were trying to assist the government on the quarantine hotels as well, where we know that there's approximately 2,000 passengers arriving a day from the countries which are on the red list, and how we can roll that out to get that up and running as well. So from my point of view, it's been an excellent partnership. It's a wonderful product. My staff are very safe, my guests are very safe, and we look forward to continuing working with them. We are intending to roll this partnership out throughout our portfolio of hotels. And in addition to that, we're also working with a number of local authorities who are providing temporary accommodation for their clients as well. And we're looking to install that technology there as well. So again, any questions from anyone, I can answer at the end. Thank you.
That's marvelous. Thank you ever so much, Meher. And now, Paul, please, if you would care to.
Sure, thanks Amir, and thank you, Naeem, for inviting me on. So I'm Managing Director of Beacon Purchasing. We're a consortium of around 1,200 hospitality businesses dealing with all kinds of procurement across hotels, restaurants, bars, etc. So as you can imagine, I get fairly inundated with new suppliers, new products coming to market, that sort of thing, particularly over the last 12 months when there's been lots of new things going on that we haven't tackled before. And when it started to come to things like infection control in the hotel bedrooms or in the banqueting spaces in hotels, there was a lot of products being put to me, things like fogging, things like exploding canisters that go in bedrooms, and these sorts of things that I just felt would have an ongoing long-term effect on the way the hotel operated. So could they continue to clean the bedrooms in the normal way, or was it going to significantly extend the amount of time that would take, that sort of thing? So it was important to try and find solutions that would fit fairly seamlessly into the day-to-day operations as we take a long-term view. And that's where these products were introduced to me, and I thought there was a real potential for them, for our customer base, because they're going to deal with those the problems that we face, but they're not going to be interfering with the day-to-day operations. They also tackle the issues as they come in a live environment. You know, they are helping people when they're in a room with other guests at a hotel, whether that might be a conference, whatever it might be. They're also helping to protect the staff who are coming to clean a bedroom that's been in use. It's all happening in live time. It's not something that we have to come in and deal with after the moment. So I thought it was a really good proposition, and as Meher alluded to, it's far less expensive than I thought it would be when it was presented to me, which is always good. And I think it's more than just a COVID thing. I've seen a question pop up in the Q&A, because clearly we need to deal with some of the issues that Meher faces in his hotels, where he's got patients coming in and these sorts of issues. and many of our hotels may face that as well. But longer term, you know, we have numerous areas in our hotels that I've visited and operated where we have limited ventilation. Invariably, they're often the areas where we also have lots of people. So our event spaces tend to be fairly poorly ventilated in certain areas. And that's something that I see this can be a real benefit to our guests in the future, and to help our hotels promote themselves slightly differently, maybe to some of their competition. So I think there's a lot of value in it for our customers, and we're going to be promoting it as such, and hopefully we can help them get the right technology in place and to protect their staff and their guests going forward. I'll point out there are, I mentioned it's not as expensive as you think. There are two options to getting the products, so that these can be bought, and there's various different products depending on the size of the space that Richard has pointed out to us. There's also the option to have them on a lease rental over 3 or 5 years, which of course makes it a much more simple proposition in terms of upfront cash. It's a relatively low ongoing cost to the customer. So I'm just going to share my screen so people have my my contact details, because we've set up an agreement with Naeem and Fourth Wave, and also one of our Beacon suppliers, commercial, to provide these products to anyone that's looking to take them. I'm not sure if I've shared that correctly. I hope I have. I should have my contact details on screen.
We can see them.
Excellent. Good. It's always a nervy moment.
Yeah.
So as I say, we're Beacon Purchasing. We are here to help anyone on this webinar. We will have Beacon members on here. There'll be other hotels that aren't Beacon members. You don't need to be a member of Beacon to get hold of these products, but I will handle the incoming inquiries by the details that are on the screen, and enable Naeem and his team and the team at Commercial to get these products to you quickly if you need them, and if you'd like to take us up on it. The other thing I would point out, and I think one that keeps sort of eluding my mind, we sort of only talk about this sort of in the operational parts of the business. I think it's really important for hotels to think about their office spaces, where they have teams of people working closely together. We've all worked in areas where one person gets ill, everybody gets ill. That's something we might neglect because we're always focusing on the guests. So I think that's something to quickly point out and make sure everyone keeps in mind as they look to get people back at work. And that's it from me. Happy to take any questions.
That's marvelous, Paul. Thank you very much indeed. Now I think we're going to move forward to the Q&A section, and I'm sure there's a lot to digest there. We've had a lot of questions. Overwhelmingly, I think you went somewhere to addressing these, Paul. However, I think it would be good to go over maybe again, just so everyone is very clear. And that question really is what's the long-term story with VIRUSKILLER? Its technology, how's it going to benefit hotels, businesses, all environments post-COVID landscape? So perhaps over to you, Meher, if you would like to kick that one off and discuss your thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, for us, this technology isn't just for today, but it's definitely something for the future. I think with what we've seen with COVID, we're approximately 15 months into it. And unfortunately, there isn't a very clear sight and end to this. So I think it's something that we're going to have to learn to live with. And for us, it's very much, as I emphasized, about having a technology in place which is going to comfort our staff and comfort our guests. Obviously, everyone wants to go into an environment which is as clean as possible. So if we know this VIRUSKILLER is going to be up and running in the corridors, in the reception, in the bedrooms, 24/7, me as a customer, if I was checking into a hotel, one property has this facility, another one doesn't, I would definitely choose this to go into. So as far as I'm concerned, this technology isn't just for COVID. It is definitely going to be here for the next 3 to 5 years, and I'm sure Naeem's technology will be slowly enhancing and developing to deal with this. But for now, it's very comforting to know that we have a technology in place which is killing the virus and we wouldn't be using it unless we were 100% sure this is the right product to use. So answering your question there, I think we're going to be more and more hospitality sectors will be using products like this. Here onwards, I can't see an end in sight on this personally. And a point that Gail touched on was the cross ventilation point. So we, as our hotels, each room, we don't have any central plant. So each room has individual air conditioning units. So the air doesn't get mixed with other rooms. Each room has a heat recovery unit, which means basically from the bathroom, the dirty air is extracted, and in the bedroom, you have fresh air coming in. And on top of that, we've got the virus killer. So we're not cross-contaminating any air from one room to another or from a public area into the bedroom. So each room is treated as a bubble. And on top of the bubble, we've got the virus killer. So we've kind of gone 110% to try to avoid any cross-contamination.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Meher. I think quickly, perhaps, Gail, if you could maybe say a little bit about too, from an IPC point of view, just underscoring what Meher was saying.
Yes, really, I have just put a comment up there actually relating to this, because obviously clean air, we've had clean air bills externally, running for the last 70 years or whatever we've within government policies. And it's only when something like a pandemic or something like this has happened over the last year that people have suddenly started, it's been highlighted, but it's always been addressed. There's always been government papers on safe environment and clean air within safe environments, inside and outside, to protect, because we have a duty of care to try and protect the people that we look after in society. For me, the SARS or COVID is just another way of highlighting the importance of looking after our health generally, and particularly it has highlighted the respiratory effects, the air around us, to be looked at more closely.
That's very interesting. Richard, do you think you could perhaps answer a few questions or go into slight more detail about the nature of single pass, airflow, the fact, what that really truly delivers from a technological point of view, and how a little bit perhaps about how over the 16 years of development of this product, we've really kind of iterated the system to where it is now to be super effective?
Yeah, sure. I saw on the Q&A there as well, people asking about, can it be integrated? So we've got various technologies available now, which are plug and play. What certainly I've been doing, and our partners in South Korea, is a real focus on innovation, to innovate products that we feel are needed within the market. We do have a focus on the movement of air. So airflow engineering is super important. I think as a technology company, we're definitely setting the standard with regards to other clean air technologies of what they need to look at. So things like making sure your filter, if you're using one, stays and remains healthy. That's a really important aspect of what we do. The utilizing technology for anything that can get through filters is the second part of what I feel a clean air technology needs to be looking at. And as I keep going on about the control of airflow, which is of utmost importance, because if you're not controlling the airflow as best you can, even with a plug and play unit, you're going to have dead spots within that indoor space. As a company, we're innovating solutions for HVAC. It's actually a very difficult thing to do, because as soon as you retrofit anything to a system, you've got a tail end of problems with pressure and etc. We're innovating solutions, handheld solutions, and all kinds of things. In fact, over the last 10 months, we've submitted around 10 international patents most of which are enhancements of the virus killer technology. For the last 16 years, they've been looking at the market and tailoring the technology specifically for the South Korean market, which is a really advanced market. In South Korea, they've been looking at infection control in quite a unique way since SARS coronavirus in 2003. And if you think about the infection or disease transmission routes, you have direct contact and indirect contact, but then you have droplet and airborne. And again, as Gail mentioned, it's been a long-term thing over the last 70 years or so, but this has forced everybody to look at droplet and airflow as disease transmission routes. And also the great thing is having better ventilation, having clean air technologies is all benefiting people's health. Yes, this is important about viruses right now, but air pollution is damaging people's health all around the world. And so as a technology, it's called VIRUSKILLER because of how it was initially funded and what it was set up to do. But when you look at and break down air pollution in dirty air, sick air, and toxic air, then you look at how is your technology going to deal with those three aspects of air pollution. And that's what I think a clean air technology needs to do. And that's the long-term benefits of the right technology also.
That's marvelous. Thank you very much indeed. I think we've got a lot of questions also about kind of the installation of the units. How quickly can people get set up and expect results from the VIRUSKILLER range? Perhaps if I pass that over to you, Naeem, you could speak to that.
Yeah, no problem. So, as Meher mentioned with his hotels, you can get up and running in a couple of days. I encourage you, if you're interested, reach out to us. We go through a consultation period where we walk you through every aspect of the technology and how that fits in with your space. And we ensure that that's maximized protection and you're getting kind of the best in class service there. So really it's simple. You reach out to us, our team is specialized in this space. So they walk you through every step of the way and you can get up and running very, very quickly. If it's not us, you can reach out through Beacon and through Paul as well. We'll put his contact details on our site so you can get access. Otherwise, you can reach out to sales at Fourth Wave Tech and we can get you started on your clean air journey.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you very much, Naeem. I think a few other questions that we have here that could be of interest is well, I think yeah, I mean, again, we're back to the point that everybody has on their minds, and I think that it's so topical at the moment. Really is down to the kind of the efficacy against COVID-19, and what that means, and how important it is to get this technology installed, and will it actually work? And will people in this sector and in all sectors actually feel a benefit from this? Is it a truly worthwhile proposition that they can say, yes, tick, we know we've got this covered? So I think perhaps we can return this back to Richard.
Yeah, I think really important to keep in mind is that with a technology such as this, it's real-time protection. So if you clean before and after somebody's been in a room, whether you're trying to decontaminate the air or surfaces, well, it's not that real-time protection. So having technology like this installed, it offers that real-time protection, and to do your best to control the airflow is also doing your best to reduce cross-contamination. So a lot of this back to that airflow, we're not taking constantly all the air in a given space through the unit. There is a period of time in which you're going to get an air exchange within an indoor environment. And that's why then you have to go back to what is happening with that air. So there's lots of studies that have come out with this pandemic showing things like how air conditioning systems can spread a virus around, how poorly ventilated spaces can have a bigger viral load for much longer periods of time. So it goes back to speak to one of the consultants at Fourth Wave about the indoor space, get the recommendation of what units to use and where they should be positioned, and then you're in a much better position to actually offer that real-time protection. So as a technology, we have test results on all the major virus groups and also test results with regards to all other indoor air pollutants. But the vital aspect is it's got to get through that technology, whatever technology you choose, before it's doing anything to any of those pollutants. So airflow, positioning, the right technology, all really key aspects. And if you blend this with good ventilation, well, you've got a much better chance of reducing cross-contamination.
Excellent. Thank you so much for elaborating on that, Richard. I guess another important question that we need to talk about is that the maintenance of the VIRUSKILLER system and the servicing. So I think I'm going to pass that back over to Naeem briefly, if you'd like to speak a little to what's involved in the longer term.
Yeah, I mean, look, the running costs are next to nothing. We have our service professionals and specialists that execute our service and maintenance agreements, which bring down monthly charges for the customer. The range overall is low maintenance. You know, as Richard hinted, we want to make sure that we're taking care of the units. So vacuuming of the pre-filters, replacing and responsibly disposing of filters and the chamber reactor. All of that is within our service agreements and areas that we support the customer on. So to learn more and kind of understand what that process looks like, and to kind of get some initial costings on what that monthly affordable charge is, I do encourage you to reach out to either Fourth Wave or Beacon, and we can walk you through some of those service agreements that we have and we can offer for you.
Thank you so much, Naeem. Another important question I think that we have is, again, relating to the post-COVID dynamic, but what do you think the likelihood of this technology being a requirement for new builds, businesses, all these forms of things going forward into the future? Perhaps, Meher, you would like to talk a little bit about your thoughts on that matter.
Yeah, we've got planning consent already in place to build out approximately 2,500 new hotel rooms across London. And this is definitely something we will be installing in each of our new build projects, not only for hotel or apart hotels. This will be part of our residential rollout, as well as our student accommodation rollout. We're in contact already with a number of student accommodation providers who are interested in either us building something and then them leasing it or us operating it ourselves. So we are looking at installing this technology on everything that we build. And this is, as I said, it's a plug and play. So even if you live in a house, you've got a 2-bedroom flat, you can buy 2 individual units and just put them in your flat, and you don't need any special ventilation or any special heating systems. So that's the great advantage of this. You can literally pick up a unit, put it in a room, plug it in, and off you go. It's up and running. And the test certificates I've been provided by Naeem have proven that I believe it's 95 or 99% it kills COVID-19. Am I correct, Naeem, on that?
Yeah, it's no pathogens were detected along with 15 others in our last test. So the test results, and as Richard mentioned as well, any air pollutants, we have the test results for those. You can see them on our site, and you can understand those in more detail. We're really happy that we've taken the time, the investment, the energy to go in and make sure that these units are safe, and more importantly, the efficacy is backed up by real results. You get a lot of purification products and clean air projects that have sleek marketing, but ultimately, when you take a deep dive into their test results, you really understand that they're not up to a level where, as a business, you can feel comfortable installing them and making sure that, more importantly, your guests or your staff are having the best in class and safest tech available to them.
Amir, you're on mute again.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Naeem. I guess other questions that we've been facing perhaps are, to do with the financing. So are there financing options available? And I'm going to put you on there, please, Paul.
Yeah, so you can buy the units up front, or they're available on the 3-year or 5-year lease rental. So very low cost on an ongoing basis. Just to give an idea, I guess the small units in a bedroom, if you were leasing those, they'd be £1.58 per room per week. That's about £82 a year for each unit, which I think should answer the question. There's bigger units available for the bigger spaces, as Richard covered in his presentation. And if they get in touch with ourselves or Naeem, then we can talk them through that in more detail.
That's marvelous. Thank you. Looking through the questions here. Well, I think we seem to have answered generally like the general questions that we've been asked, and I think that's been a very informative presentation by all our panelists and attendees. In terms of a roundup, perhaps if I could ask each of you again just to speak for a minute while we have everyone's attention, and then we can wind things down and for this session. So Naeem, perhaps I'll start off with you.
Sure. Thanks, Amir, and thanks to all of our panelists, and thanks to each and every one of you for joining and taking time out of your day. At Fourth Wave, please reach out to us. We'd love to get in touch and understand your space. We walk you through that consultative approach for your environments, and we really kind of take a personalized style to make sure that we're protecting your space to the maximum effect, also looking out for your wallet as well. We've had really good praise from customers on our approach, and it's something we're priding ourselves in. So do get in touch with us. We're more than happy to help out and walk you through kind of the various steps that's required to protect your space. You can reach out at sales@Fourth Tech or visit our website. Alternatively, you can get in touch with Paul at Beacon. Don't wait, protect your space. And we're looking forward for you to join us in our Clean Air as a Service journey. So thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Meher, if you would like to say a few final words to everybody watching.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone this morning for taking the time to join us on this webinar. And I'm looking forward to continuing working with Naeem and his team and installing and rolling out the air VIRUSKILLER throughout our portfolio.
Marvelous. Thank you so much. Gail, if you'd like to say a few last words.
Yes, it's been a pleasure to be part of this webinar today. Thank you, Naeem, for inviting me. And yeah, take care, look after yourselves.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Gail. And Richard?
Yeah, thank you everybody for taking the time today to hear and listen about VIRUSKILLER technology, specifically within the hospitality sector. We are creating some very exciting innovation at the moment, so watch this space.
Marvelous. Thank you ever so much, Richard. And Paul?
Thanks, Amir, and thank you for having me on. Appreciate the time, and thank you for everyone joining us. I look at this quite simply from a hotelier point of view. I think everyone is more aware now of how we spread disease amongst the community, and I think it's important for hotels to consider how they can differentiate themselves, how they can protect their staff and their customers. So I do see that this will be a key element of our recovery, and happy to help anyone that would like support with it, and look forward to working with Naeem and the team to help our customers in the future.
That's marvelous. Thank you so much, Paul. Well, I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone who's been watching and for taking the time out of your busy schedules this morning to share in this important information and learn about what VIRUSKILLER can do for your business or situation. If you have any questions or all the rest of it, please reach out to us at either Fourth Wave or indeed at Paul at Beacon, and we'll be happy to help out. Our specialist clean air team is available to speak to you about any questions you may have, and we adopt a very consultative process towards clean air as a service, and you'll find us enormously helpful, and we're very keen to help you begin your clean air journey. So thank you ever so much, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.